What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for our Monday Night Raw review for December the 13th, 2021. We are on our way to day one. This podcast is not sponsored by G Fuel, even though I love drinking that stuff and it is awesome. Anyway, tonight's show sucked so fucking badly. Tonight's show was built around, will Bobby Lashley be added to the day one match for the WWE Championship, making it a fatal four-way. It was the first segment in the show. It was 3 different matches tonight. And it was the main event. Could Bobby Lashley make it through and make it to the main event, or the Raw main event of WWE Day 1? If you thought Bobby Lashley was not going to be added to this WWE Championship match, you had another thing coming. My biggest problem with this is they made a match. Oh, they made a series of matches. A stipulation. If Bobby Lashley could beat all three members of the WWE title match at day one, he would be added, making it a fatal four-way. Why do you have to include the WWE champion? Seriously. There is no reason that Big E should be in non-title matches, and on top of that, losing non-title matches by hook or by crook or by anyway. If you look at the two titles, the two main titles on Raw and SmackDown, the WWE title and the Universal title, the champions, who are the champions? How often do you see Roman wrestling on TV? Yes, he's on TV most of the time. He wasn't on TV this last Friday. He'll be this Friday. But how often is he on TV? Not often at all. I mean, he doesn't wrestle that often on TV. In the last two champions, because Miz is whatever. How often has Bobby Lashley and Big E wrestled matches on TV? Almost every single week as champion. How many times when Lashley was champion did this guy lose non-title matches? Constantly. Big E is losing non-title matches, and it's going to be a thing where they continue to lose non-title matches. You don't see Roman Reigns wrestling and losing non-title matches. Yes, he lost to Xavier Woods a couple weeks ago by disqualification, but that was once in a blue moon and something that should not have happened, and WWE knows shouldn't have happened. But that's once. The WWE champion loses on non-title matches on TV all the fucking time. Tonight, you should have never booked it to have all 3 men in the triple threat match having to go up against Lashley. And on top of that, it wasn't a gauntlet. Lashley didn't have to go from Kevin Owens to Seth Rollins to Big E back to back to back. No, they gave him time to rest up, time to get ready for the next match. Who books this? I really want to know who thought this was a good idea. This was bad. Just so bad. Now, the show started out with MVP and Bobby Lashley. They come to the ring. They talk about how dare WWE even make a title match at day one without including Bobby Lashley. How dare they give Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins a shot. First off, Seth Rollins should be pissed out of everybody because he went to a ladder match right after Survivor Series, or right before Survivor Series actually, and won that match to guarantee him a title opportunity. 1-on-1. Not triple threat, not fatal four-way, 1-on-1. So, if they are bitching at the fact that Seth Rollins has a title match, they have no bitching to do. Seth Rollins earned that title shot by beating, 4 other guys in a ladder match for that opportunity. Whereas Kevin Owens weaseled his way into a match with Big E where if he won, he would become inserted in the match. And Seth Rollins just pretty much gift wrapped that to him. So yeah, There is no reason that anyone should, like, he should be coming out bitching, moaning, whining, complaining that, how dare these guys. So they come out, of course they do, and then Kevin Owens comes out and it's like, how dare you? I might not like Seth Rollins, but he earned himself a championship opportunity, and then I earned my shot at that title as well. So you have no right coming out here and begging for a match. You shouldn't be in this match. You should be nowhere near the WWE Championship, which, by the way, in my opinion, it should stay a triple threat match, and then Bobby Lashley could get next at the Royal Rumble, unless Bobby Lashley is going to go to this show and actually win the championship, which I don't know yet. So I don't know. All I know is things are, it's just so dumb. And then of course, what happens next? Kevin Owens is talking for a bit and how this, and then out comes Seth Rollins, because WWE just loves the book where one person comes out, they talk, someone interrupts. That person comes out, talks for a bit, then someone else interrupts. And these guys are all heels, by the way. Seth is a heel. Kevin Owens, who even said, "Oh, I want to win the championship so the fans can have somebody to respect as champion. That championship can mean something." Is like, sure you do. Because later on when he's being interviewed, he calls Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota, trash. Which, after what happened last year with all the rats and stuff, yes, they are trash. And then of course Big E comes out, talks some shit to everybody. Adam and Peter Soderville come out. They make the deal that if Bobby Lashley can beat all three members of the triple threat match in individual matches tonight, he will be added as the fourth participant, and it will be a fatal four-way. So that is how they opened the show. So we see what happened with the RK Bros last week. Tonight was supposed to be the finals of the RK Bro tournament to see who would face them at day one. Unfortunately, apparently, Montez has been out with an injury. He didn't wrestle all this weekend. Angelo Dawkins actually worked singles matches against AJ Styles and winning by DQ over the weekend. The Mysterios didn't work at all, so apparently there's injuries on both sides, and it's going to be pushed back to the 29th, or the last Monday Night Raw of the year, to see who will go to day one. So pretty much the Raw Go Home show will see the winner of the tournament be crowned. So there's that. So tonight instead we get Matt Riddle versus Otis. Of course, last week Matt Riddle was dropped by Otis after the Alpha Academy was beat. And Matt Riddle just came in and tried to have a nice little friendly conversation with the guys, and Otis took offense to it and dropped him where he stood. We get some more crap from Matt Riddle and Randy Orton backstage. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I like what these guys do in the ring. Everything in front of the stage where they come out there, they have their matches. It's good stuff. I cannot stand listening to Matt Riddle talk on the mic. I just can't. I didn't care for it in NXT, on SmackDown, now on Raw. I do not care. I do not need to hear him talk whatsoever. So yeah, this Matt Riddle versus Otis. Now, I was hoping it would be Matt Riddle versus Chad Gable. I think that would be a fantastic match, and I think we've had that match before. So these guys had themselves a nice little match here. Of course, you had Randy Orton on the outside. You had Chad Gable on the outside, and neither one got involved. But Riddle goes and hits the floating bro. Fans pop. Riddle then channels the inner Orton. He's doing the stomp. He's ready to go for the RKO. But gets caught. Big power slam. 1, 2, 3. Otis is your winner. The first of many champions to lose. To be on the losing end in some way or form tonight. After the match, Orton hits the ring and goes to deliver an RKO to Otis, but Otis shoves him away, and Orton then ends up dropping Gable out of nowhere. Then Otis comes with a nasty looking back elbow, like, I don't know what he was trying to do. Alpha Academy stands tall, and the music hits, and we go to replay. It's a sad thing that the Mysterios beat the Alpha Academy last week to move on, because with the way this happened, it would make more sense if it was the Street Profits versus the Alpha Academy. The Alpha Academy win, and then they go to Day 1 to take on Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. But that's one of the things that you have to look at. So we see the recent happenings between Bianca Belair and Piper Niven, including last week when Piper Niven just said, you know what, I'm out. I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to come back next week with a new strategy, and I'm going to go out there, and I'm just going to leave. So they come out, they have their match. I can't say that name, I just can't. Piper Niven is pretty much just jealous that everyone keeps talking about Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair has done this. Bianca Belair has done that. Bianca Belair has won this and this and that. And it's like, Piper, you haven't done anything. You haven't won any big matches. You haven't won a championship. You haven't done a damn thing. So your logic of being upset that Bianca Belair, people are talking about Bianca Belair and not talking about you, well, do something. Win a title. Win some matches. Go on a hot win streak of winning like 10, 15, 20 matches in a row without losing a match. Go out there and win the women's championship. Go find a tag team partner and win the tag team titles. Win the Royal Rumble. Go to WrestleMania. Be in the main event. Win the championship there. Bianca did that, and people have every right to talk about Bianca Belair in that vein because she did all that stuff. Like, Bianca Belair, the first half of Bianca Belair's 2021 was damn good for her. Winning the Rumble, going to WrestleMania in the main event, winning that match, going all the way to SummerSlam, and then, of course, after SummerSlam, it kind of dropped off, but that first, from January all the way to the week before SummerSlam, I'd say, was the best run for Bianca Belair. Piper hasn't done anything. She was brought up by Eva Marie, given a shitty name, which I will never say on here. And then she turned heel, and she's upset because everybody talks about Bianca Belair. That's just, that makes no sense. Why are you gonna sit there and like be all upset and mad when you've been on the main roster for how many months? How many months has she been on the main roster? Piper Niven has been on the main roster since June 14th of this year. That's a long time on the main roster to do almost next to nothing. Tell me, what has she actually done since June? She's been on the main roster tomorrow for 6 months. 6 months she has been on the main roster. And the biggest claim to fame was be giving a terrible fucking name, a derogatory, fat-shaming name by Eva Marie, having a shitty feud with Eva Marie, and then turning heel. That's it. Until you do something that people give a shit about, which is not her fault. Now, I don't blame Piper Niven at all. I don't blame her, the person who, behind the gimmick and everything, because she's just going out there and being told what to do and trying to do her best as she can. But to have her character just be upset and offended the fact that Bianca Belair is being talked about, it makes no sense because the woman hasn't done anything. Did she do anything in NXT UK? I highly doubt it. I just don't get what they're trying to do with this woman. She's upset and pissed off because, yes, it's supposed to be, oh, she's just jealous because Bianca Belair is the talk of the town right now, when she hasn't done anything. They haven't given her anything to do. They haven't set her up. They haven't set her up to be a next in line challenger for either Liv Morgan or Becky Lynch. She's just doing nothing but bitching and moaning and complaining because Bianca Belair is Bianca Belair. And she's just not getting all the love and attention she thinks she should get. Go out there, beat Bianca tonight, which she doesn't. Go out there and go back. Like, if she would have beat Bianca tonight, I'd be like, okay, you're starting to do something. Go out there the next time and beat somebody else and beat people over and over and over again. And then go out there and win the Royal Rumble. Is she going to win the Royal Rumble? Probably not. Now, as for the match, it was a good match. It was a good match. Probably one of the better matches on the night. There's really not much competition for tonight. I mean, the other women's match lasted about 30 seconds, so there was that. And I mean, Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens was pretty fine. Bobby Lashley versus Big E was good. But yeah, this was probably one of the better matches of the night. Now, as they mentioned on commentary, Piper Niven had an answer for almost everything Bianca Belair threw at her this week. So there was the whole, she doesn't know, like, they don't know what to do, like, they don't understand why she left last week and only come back this week. But then Baron Saxton was like, well, I have to admit that maybe she left that last week and was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to the drawing board and come out with a new strategy. And she did this week, and she came out here and just took Bianca Belair to her limit. And Bianca Belair actually wins, not with the KOD, which she tried to set up for last week. She hits a big 450 splash and picks up the win. So the match was fun. After the match, somehow Piper Niven got all the way to the back while Bianca Belair is celebrating. I guess she just ran back there to do the next spot. And then Bianca gets up on the stage, gets to the stage, starts waving her hair, celebrating, picks her hair up again, starts waving it again, and it's like, they're focusing way too much on Bianca doing something. Something's supposed to happen. And it seemed to take forever to happen. And then eventually, Piper Niven attacks her from behind and beats her up. So, yeah, that's what they were doing. They were waiting for Piper to hit her cue and attack Bianca Belair from behind. So, this feud is not over yet. Kevin Patrick approaches Kevin Owens backstage with comment. He says this whole WWE title and Day 1 situation is trash. St. Paul is trash. He's going to beat Bobby Lashley to make sure he stays out of the WWE title match at Day 1. And then we'll go on to Day 1 to win the WWE title. And that's no lie. And Owens walks off. Kevin Owens' contract is coming up at the end of next month. It would not surprise me if Day 1 is the last time we see Kevin Owens on WWE television. They're sure as hell not going to pull another Dean Ambrose, are they? Will they let this guy go until his contract runs out? So as close as they can to his contract running out. And then his contract comes out up, and then he's on the next AEW pay-per-view, which is Revolution, or somewhere between that Royal Rumble and Revolution. There was a time, and I remember it was when Christian Cage left WWE and went over to TNA, that after his contract was up, he was on ECW one week, and then the next week he was on TNA Impact. That WWE was like, well, if people's contracts are coming up and we can't resign them, we're going to take them off TV. And they did that for a while, and then of course Dean Ambrose happened. They gave him a grand send-off. They did everything they could to give this guy, to make this guy look good, did the whole thing with the Shield, and made this guy just ready to go. And it's like, you pretty much just gift wrapped AEW a ready-made guy. You didn't embarrass him or anything. Then of course the next year, Matt Hardy, they pretty much had Randy Orton kill not once but twice. Then the Scandemic and all that shit. So are they really going to pull? It's like you go either one of two ways. You go the Dean Ambrose route, where they let this guy go, let his contract go up, and he shows up on AEW on Wednesday night the week after, or whenever, or Day 1 is his final match in the WWE. They send his ass home and say, we're just gonna let your contract run out. We're not gonna need your services anymore. Let his contract go out. He's off for the majority of January, and Kevin Owens leaves WWE in a whimper. And Kevin Steen returns on AEW sometime down the road. You can go two ways. So they give us the inaugural class. They gave us a rundown on the inaugural class of WWE's Next in Line, aka NIL, or names, image, and likenesses, because NCAA allows talent, allows athletes to make money off their own images and likenesses. So WWE created the new NIL, and they show all these athletes. So football players, basketball players, for the female basketball players, some track stars, one amateur wrestler for the entire thing. One amateur wrestler. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, to anybody who thinks that WWE will ever bring in another independent wrestler who isn't like just, yeah, this just shows you that this is the future of WWE development. No more indie darlings, no more indie talent. The days of a Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Finn Balor. Unless you have a big fucking name and WWE would just be foolish not to sign you, this is where you're going to see all the next 10, 20-year talent are going to be coming from, is the NIL. So they then show us that Gable Steveson, who wrestles for, who goes to college in Minneapolis and wrestles for them for Minnesota, is in the crowd, has his gold medal. I still don't know why people bite their medals. I think that's stupid. It gets a big pop. We go back to the ring. Owens is waiting in the ring. Out comes Bobby Lashley, MVP. And of course, Lashley must win this match to advance to the next round. Lashley goes over, him and MVP. Show some love to Stevenson, who is a contracted person to WWE. He is the first of what will eventually be many to come out of this NIL program. And he'll eventually, which WWE, from what I've seen and read somewhere, wants him to make his in-ring or some kind of debut for them at WrestleMania next year. That would be a massive mistake, but we'll see what they do. So we have this match here. Bobby Lashley just beats the living shit out of Owens. Owens gets some things in, but Bobby Lashley just beats the fuck out of Owens. Owens gets absolutely just destroyed here. Owens blocks the Hurt Lock. Rolls Lashley up for two. Lashley blocks the stun and nails a spine buster. Goes for the Hurt Lock. He gets one arm up. Lashley goes to get the other one up, and before he gets it all the way in, Kevin Owens just taps out. He is done. He doesn't want to risk an injury, and he's out. Bobby Lashley is pissed that Kevin Owens just taps out so easily. So, on to the next one. How to make Kevin Owens look so foolish. I mean, if you need any more evidence that WWE is letting this guy go, he's not coming back. They don't need him anymore. Kevin Owens was never somebody that Vince McMahon really ever believed in. The only reason he won the Universal Championship in 2016 is because they had no other choice for who they put in that match. They could have put Chris Jericho in that match. They could have put literally anybody they could find into that match. And it was like, if this Chris Jericho was going to be in that match, Kevin Owens was the only one that made sense. They had bigger plans for Roman at the time. Seth Rollins and Big Cass was not going to win that match. They had bigger plans for Roman to win the title at WrestleMania. Or whenever. So he wasn't going to win that match. They needed to put it on somebody to carry it going into the rest of the year, and of course, things would have been completely different. It would have been Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho winning the title as a babyface if Goldberg didn't come back in the end of 2016 at Survivor Series. But the only reason he won that title then was because they had no other choice. After that, he hasn't really done much, and WWE is practically done. They're done with Kevin Owens. They don't have anything else that they could really do with this guy. After everything he did last year, going into this year, to get Roman Reigns give Roman Reigns as much as he could to get this guy even more heat. These guys wrestled 3 matches on 3 pay-per-views, and they fucking killed it every single time. And WWE went from that to Kevin Owens show after Kevin Owens show after Kevin Owens show, and now he's on Monday Night Raw. He's going to take the pinfall in this match. It's the only reason you put Kevin Owens in this match. It protects Lashley, it protects Seth Rollins, it protects Big E. Which again, if I'm Bobby Lashley, I'm like, you know what? Fine. You guys have your match at the pay-per-view at day one. I'll have my title shot at the Royal Rumble. I'll take whoever is at the Royal Rumble and I will kill you there. But no, WWE went down a different route. Which, if I'm Bobby Lashley, I want a one-on-one match against whoever wins at day one so I can just pick that person apart at the Royal Rumble with nobody around to ruin my fun. But that's just me. That's what I would want to do. We get a video package of Liv Morgan versus Women's Champion Becky Lynch and how Lynch retained last week, holding the rope to get the win. Out comes Becky Lynch, which, oh god, we had Liv Girl last week. This week we had Becky Girl in the front, and in the aisle, where the fans, where the ramp is. On the one side, on the side where the hurricane shoots at, we had this girl holding this little doll, and when Liv Morgan comes out to cut her promo later in a bit, she is just completely pro Becky. She's got a little doll that's based off of Becky. She is just loving everything that is Becky Lynch. So we get another Veer Mahaan. We go to commercial. We come back. Veer Mahaan coming soon to Raw. When that's going to happen, I don't fucking know. Him and Xia Li started getting promo video vignettes at the same time. Xia Li made her debut last Friday. Why is Veer Mahaan, which apparently he's made his debut on main event, but why is Veer Mahaan not made his debut on Monday Night Raw? Have they seen his matches on main event and go, not there yet. We need to give him a little bit more seasoning. I don't know. She welcomes us to the big time. She says what a match it was with Liv last week because it was her first championship match. It was a big deal for Liv. But I told you I was going to be champ coming into this week, and I still am. Says she said a lot wanted her to retain, but a lot more wanted Liv to win. Lynch goes on ranting in the crowd about how they haven't done what she has. Knocks Liv for disappointing her fans last week. She shows us the angry Liv girl because, yes, last week when they showed this girl who's in a blue shirt, she's upset, and then they compared her to angry Miz girl from 2010, 11 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, there's a difference is that Miz won the championship and nobody wanted it to happen. This time Lynch got screwed. Liv Morgan. She starts laughing. Becky says she's used to it because she will be champion for a long time. And pretty much said, if Liv would have won, y'all would have found any excuse you could to doubt Liv Morgan, just like you did to me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Becky. Don't you hear when you come out here, people aren't booing you. You were at that Undertaker 2003 type vibe where it's like, you come out, people were cheering, they want Becky, they want you to be a babyface, they're sick of this fucking heel run, and then you open your mouth and then some people boo, but people are still fucking cheering you. How WWE still thinks this heel run is a success is beyond me. It boggles my fucking mind. This is not a success, it's a goddamn failure. They need to see the writing on the wall. Now, I honestly thought that, yes, having Liv Morgan, which everybody loves themselves from Liv Morgan, having her go up against Becky being a total bully, bitch heel to her, probably should have got her more heat than it does, but nobody wants to boo Becky no matter what you do. It's sad because everybody loves Liv. Everybody wanted Liv to win last week. Everybody wants to go to day one and hope the fuck that Liv Morgan wins because, yes, they're going to have a rematch because there's nobody else for Becky Lynch right now. Bianca Belair and Piper Niven are feuding for no goddamn reason other than the fact that, Piper Niven's delusional. Rhea Ripley's dead as, as cold as ice, working with the trash hero known as Nikki Ash, which, if Nikki drops the superhero gimmick and went back to crazy Nikki, that Nikki Cross and Rhea Ripley, that's a tag team in the women's division I could get behind. Crazy Nikki and Rhea Ripley, two punk rock looking women. Those two will look great together. Not this shit they're doing with Nikki Trash, which we'll talk about that here in a bit. But Liv Morgan comes out, and she says she's not getting used to anything, and St. Paul is getting tired of listening to Becky's broken record. Liv keeps speaking while walking to the ring and says Becky's doubting her is why she almost lost last week, and she had to cheat to win. Liv shows us a photo of Becky using a handful of tights. Liv says Becky is the best at cheating to win. Liv cried a little last week, but not because she was weak, because she's a human and was disappointed. Liv says she snapped out of it. It was at this time that you could see this little girl who's holding this little doll with red hair, and it's like she's literally like, no, Liv is like, Becky's awesome, and she's sticking her tongue out, she's being obnoxious, and I'm like, dude, where's your parents, and why aren't they calming your ass down? Just saying. Liv says she snapped out of it because she knows she can beat Becky, and just like that little girl, she believes it. Liv says she didn't embarrass herself. That didn't embarrass her. It reminded her why she won't give up until she can make that title mean something for people like that little girl. Liv says that Becky is really big time back. She'll accept a rematch for the title at WWE Day 1. Becky fires back and tells Liv to blame herself for not being ready for what Becky did last week. Says Liv isn't ready, and all she proved is she doesn't have the killer instinct. Becky says Liv did the same thing she always does, absolutely nothing. Liv rushes the ring, tackles Becky, and loads some fists. They get up, and Liv nails a dropkick, seeing Becky to the floor. Liv stays on top of him until Becky sends her into the steel ring steps. Becky then takes Liv's elbow arm and shoves it in the steps. Starts stomping on the elbow, kicks the stairs, drop kicks the stairs for whatever reason instead of just doing a stomp, which that looked fucking stupid. Gets back up, starts stomping on her again. Says, oh, Liv, it looks like you injured yourself. Says, if you still want the rematch, you're on. Becky says, now that there's no other able-bodied women to challenge her, she's going home to train, be with her hot husband, and her kid, and Liv should go put some ice on that elbow. Drops the mic, and walks up the thing, and you just see the little Becky Lynch fan, like, holding her hands out, like, give me a hug, Becky, give me a hug, and Becky just walks by, and it's like, I hope when the show goes off the air before that kid leaves, Becky goes out there and, like, gets a picture with her or something, because that girl was, like, there for you the entire time tonight. That's just, like, yeah. But you'll have that sometimes. So, here's my thing on this. Liv Morgan needs to win at Day 1, or you've wasted our time. Liv Morgan should have won last week. And this is what you could have did, is that Liv Morgan wins last week. Liv Morgan goes to Day 1, retains over Becky Lynch to give herself a nice month-and-a-half title reign. Goes to the Royal Rumble. They have a match again. Because, you know, that's what they need to do. And then Becky gets the championship match back if you wanted to do that. I don't think even if Liv Morgan won last week, I don't think she'd be holding the title all the way to WrestleMania. I don't think WWE has that much faith in her. But I don't understand why you couldn't have just given the title to Liv last week. Which, if you want to do the whole, like, the story of the rope break, of the rope, is this going to play into how Liv wins the championship? Is she going to hold the rope next Day 1 and win the championship? I hope not, but I don't fucking know. WWE can do whatever the fuck they want, because you know they're going to, but I think that was just a missed opportunity to give the title to Liv Morgan last week. It would have been fine. It's not like honestly, in my opinion, every title but the main championship could change hands at any time. The main titles should 99.9% of the time only change hands on pay-per-view. That makes them that special. If you get a big, huge box office match that can't make it to pay-per-view for whatever reason, yeah, you can change hands on TV. But there would have been no harm in having Liv Morgan win the championship last week. Becky goes and gets a rematch at day one, loses, but the referee didn't see her foot under the rope, or hand, or something. Somehow, some way, without Liv Morgan cheating because she's a babyface, you could have did something that would have gave Becky Lynch an excuse to get a third and final match, in which she beats Liv Morgan by pulling the rope at the pay-per-view, at the Royal Rumble. That's the way they should have went with this, but they didn't. And now it's like Liv wins at day one, or you wasted her time. And this is the only. That's like Liv wins at day one, or Liv's done. They're gonna be done with Liv. They're gonna move on. She's gonna go back to where she was before day one, or before this whole entire thing with the WWE Women's Championship, and Becky will move on to somebody else. That's all you can think of. Now we see what happened between AJ Styles and Omos last week with the loss of Street Profits. Sarah Shambles stomps AJ's backstage and asks what happened with Omos last week. He admits they won it the best last week, and it's disrespectful for Omos to walk out like that, but he's not ready to give up on this tag team. He called it growing pains and calls how they were tag team champions. Says you don't give up on somebody like Omos. He's been in the business a long time and has never seen anybody like Omos. Great Khali, Braun Strowman, Shanky, Commander Aziz. Like, yeah, I'm not saying everybody is a big towering guy like Omos, but there were 3 guys in WWE right now, or 2 other guys at least in WWE right now, at the same size or close to the size of Omos. Omos ain't that fucking special. The only thing Omos has going for him right now is he hasn't been taken off of his feet. And as soon as somebody does that to him, his mystique dies. He says he goes on about how he's discovering Omos and it was a way to give him back as an investment. It wasn't about feeding his ego or advancing his career. That's not what this is about. Which, honestly, this promo felt like this was coming from AJ Styles. This was not something written. This felt like something that AJ Styles was wanting to say. This felt the realest I think I've heard from AJ Styles in a while. Especially talking about giving back, discovering Omos, which, okay, whatever. And how he doesn't want to give up, and there's nobody like Omos, even though there were 2 other guys. We had a Battle Royal at Survivor Series, and there was like 3 guys who were Omos' size, even though they punked out both Shanky and fucking Commander Aziz, and we didn't really get any back and forth between those guys. He says Omos is a really good kid. He just really wants to see Omos succeed. Omos appears and asks if they're good, and he says, we're golden. I don't want to give up on this team. Omos says, me neither. They walk off. As you can see, AJ is just trying to not show emotion in any kind. Finn Balor and Damian Priest versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. This match is happening because Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode cheap-shotted Damian Priest last week after Damian Priest retained over Robert Roode. And Simon Saxon was pretty much, okay, you guys want to be 2-on-1? Well, we're going to make this a tag team match, and I got a little buddy in Finn Balor. So, this match was, well, before that, we go to break, we come back, and we have the whole 24/7 stuff. Let's not talk about that. So, we have this match here. This match went, I think, maybe 3 minutes, maybe 4. Balor goes for the coup de grace towards the end. Austin Theory just shows up and starts taking a selfie with Balor in the background. Balor comes down off the top rope, kicks him away, allowing Ziggler to hit the zigzag. 1, 2, 3. And a champion, aka Damian Priest, was on the losing end once again. At least he wasn't the one to take the pinfall. Ugh, this company, I just don't even know. Why didn't we get another open challenge and just have Damian Priest take on Dolph Ziggler and have Finn Balor be his backup or watch his back for Robert Roode? We get a replay of last week's look at Nikki Ash and Rhea Ripley dealing with the women's tag team champions, mainly Nikki's loss to Zelina Vega. Rhea is backstage working out when Nikki walks up. Nikki is still down on herself. Apparently, yeah, last week, some fan plant came up and was like, "Hey, I'm your biggest fan. Can I get your autograph?" And Nikki thought it was for her, but apparently Jerry the King Lawler was in town, so that's who she was actually talking to, and it kind of upset Nikki. So Nikki is not in a good place. She is not happy with the way things have been going. She's doubting herself. Rhea Ripley talks her back up. And it's like, I'm just sitting here, it's like, could you imagine? Could you imagine NXT Nikki Cross, that crazy, maniacal, twisted sister of NXT, teaming with Rhea Ripley? That would be a hell of a tag team. That would be a believable tag team. This shit I just can't get behind. I can't get behind this at all. So, we have them come out. We have this match. Vega, with her terrible royal accent, which, just because you win King or Queen of the Ring does not mean you have to have a royal accent. You don't have to have a terrible British accent. But here you are. That's the one thing Baron Corbin did right as King. He didn't do the royal accent. Thank gosh. Okay, so basically this is how this match went. The bell rings. Vega decks Ripley. They bow to Tawny, then bows to taunt her. Ripley drop kicks her. Carmella comes in to gets into the ring. Nikki comes in to try and stop her. Gets kicked in the head. As Ripley's going for something, going for a slam or something. She goes to the Riptide. Carmella super kicks Nikki. Carmella gets chased off by Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley goes and tries to get Nikki or check on Nikki, allowing Zelina Vega to roll her up for the 1, 2, 3. The match didn't even last 2 minutes. Welcome to Diva Era's Wrestling, because that's where we're at. John Laurinaitis is the one in charge, and he doesn't like women's wrestling. He doesn't think women's wrestling can draw. We need women's. Next thing you know, bra and panties matches will be back. Next thing you know, pillow fights will be back, because that's what John Laurinaitis thinks professional women's wrestling is. If the Bellas weren't so fucked up with them, like if their bodies weren't so messed up, John Laurinaitis would have them back on TV, winning the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championship and dominating the women's division, because nepotism. What a joke. Rhea Ripley, 2 years ago, was on her way to winning the NXT Women's Championship from Shayna Baszler in a damn good feud. Shayna Baszler put Rhea Ripley over in the best way. A year from next 2 Wednesdays from now, I'm pretty sure, something like that, or yes, I think it was whatever. Anyway, then she wins the title, goes to WrestleMania because Charlotte needed an opponent and she didn't want to challenge for the Raw SmackDown Women's titles because she's been there, done that, and has been there, done that since. Goes to WrestleMania in an empty gymnasium and loses to Charlotte 9000. Why? Because WWE was so desperate to try and beat AEW and beat them badly that they thought putting the title on Charlotte was going to be the key to destroy AEW. It did little to nothing for NXT. It hurt NXT. It hurt that women's division. It killed that women's division to put that title on the Charlotte. And then, when Charlotte lost the championship at In Your House, she didn't even get pinned. Rhea Ripley got pinned. And Rhea Ripley's momentum continued to snowball the opposite direction. Then she comes up to the main roster. She almost wins the Royal Rumble. She gets an opportunity because Charlotte got injured, or Charlotte had some kind of medical... she had a couple wires loose that they needed to repair. But anyway, I digress. She wins the Raw Women's Championship. Then Charlotte comes back and they have themselves a boring ass feud that leads to Charlotte winning the Raw Women's Championship, and then the very next night losing the Raw Women's Championship after the night after Money in the Bank to Nikki Trash. Then Rhea Ripley is no longer in title contention as Charlotte goes to SmackDown. Becky comes over with Bianca Belair. They're having their little feud. That's over with now. Becky is doing her thing with Liv Morgan. So Rhea Ripley just drops down the card and slots in with Nikki Trash, two of them the former women's champions, and they become a tag team by beating the SmackDown team of Tamina and Natalya, winning the tag team titles, holding them for a few weeks before losing to Carmella and Zelina Vega of all people. You know Zelina Vega, who came back right before Money in the Bank and went on like a 5-month losing streak, losing every single fucking match until the Queen's Crown tournament. I swear, I don't think Zelina Vega won okay, she may have won one match before the Queen's Crown tournament, but she didn't win many before the Queen's Crown tournament. And then all of a sudden, she starts winning and winning and winning and wins the Queen's Crown tournament in less than 10 minutes of in-ring action for herself. I'm just not talking about the entire tournament. I'm talking about her matches. Her matches didn't even equate to 5.5 minutes. So I'm supposed to take her as Queen of the Ring serious. And then Rhea Ripley, who happens to be in a dead division of the Women's Tag Team Champions, which, by the way, after they won those titles, every single tag team in the women's division, from Tegan Nox and Shotzi to Natalya and Tamina, were broken up. Tegan's been fired. Nixon Newell is back. Natalya's doing her thing with Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville on SmackDown, while Tamina's chasing out the Dana Brooke in the title in the 24/7 title, which Dana Brooke used to have a tag team partner named Mandy Rose, who went back down to NXT, dyed her hair, and became the leader of Toxic Attraction. So you look after the draft and it's like, where are all the tag teams for the women's tag team division? There's only two: Queen Zelina Vega and Carmella, Nikki and Rhea Ripley. And Rhea Ripley is so her momentum is so dead that it would take a lot to get her even close to where she was back when she won the NXT Women's Championship from Shayna Baszler at the tail end of 2019, and the entire crowd came into the ring and celebrated with her. That was when Rhea Ripley was one of the fastest rising stars they had on any brand for the women's division. But that's long, that feels like a lifetime ago, and it was just about 2 years ago. So Rhea Ripley, I feel bad for any of these talents that go out there and just get absolutely buried. It just fucking sucks that you have to sit there and see this. It's stupid that WWE just goes out there. They have these women. They refuse, and I mean refuse, to put anybody else over. It's I'm really surprised Liv Morgan is even getting a shot to be the NXT Women's Champion. I mean, not the NXT, but the Raw, having a shot to fight. And here we are. WWE just... What is WWE going to do if Becky says... Because she has a kid now. And what if Becky wrestles another year or two and says, you know what? I've got everything I need. My husband's going to be the one doing all that stuff. I want to spend more time with my child. And she goes away and retires. What if Charlotte leaves? What if Bailey or Sasha leave? Like, all they care about are the 4 horsewomen. Now, where the fuck is Asuka? We haven't seen Asuka in forever. I know she was injured for a while, but we haven't seen her in months. What is going on with Asuka? Like, she doesn't do anything on her YouTube channel anymore. There hasn't been anything from Connie-chan TV in months, it feels like. Like, Asuka, should we put an APB out for Asuka? Because I haven't seen high nor hair of her. So, what are they going to do? Because they had a bona fide built star who could have just been, who would have been somebody to fight the likes of Becky, Sasha, Bailey, and Charlotte for years to come in Rhea Ripley. And they killed all of her momentum again and again and again. And now she just looks like a shell of her former self. And it's sad. And this has got to be the final straw for anybody who actually supports Rhea Ripley, because she goes out there and gets beat in less than 2 minutes to Zelina Vega. Not even by the code red, a fucking roll-up. Seth is backstage warming up when Kevin Owens approaches. Rollins is angry on the sight of Owens, offers to go to ringside to help with him. He's like, no, you stay away, I'm going to do this on my own. So Seth goes to the ring. Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley. This match lasted maybe 2.5 minutes. Rollins slides out of the ring to hold a retreat for the breather. Kevin Owens runs from behind, taps him on the shoulder, and just pops him, starts beating him up, so the referee calls for disqualification. MVP and Lashley are pissed because that's it. They're done. Their time is over. Oh, God, they lost. It's over. Rollins looks up at Owens in the ramp and smiles. Rollins returns to the ring and poses in the corner as MVP has words with the rest. Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce come out and says, you know what, guys? That was clever. Well done. Technically, you won the match. But it ain't gonna go down like that in Minnesota tonight. The match is gonna be restarted, and everything that Bobby Lashley wrestles tonight from now on is gonna be no disqualification. So, the referee calls for the bell, rings the bell, spear, 1, 2, 3, and Seth Rollins is beaten. 2 guys beaten, 2 guys made to look stupid, 2 guys buried, 1 to go. Then we see shit with Vince McMahon talking to Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. Austin Theory storms in, and I turn down the volume because I really don't care. Yeah, Vince doesn't have any friends. Sure. No, you have just yes men. Oh, great. And then we have Miz TV. So we went from Austin Theory and Vince McMahon, which I really don't give a shit about, to Miz TV, and you all know how much I hate these fucking talk shows, so fuck you, Miz. Moving on. Only thing I know is that Miz and, they brought out, Edge. They had a talk with Edge. Edge said said shit to him. Miz threw wine in his face. They brawl for a minute. Edge hits the Edge-O-Matic on, or the execution, not the Edge-O-Matic, execution on Miz. So, Edge is setting up for a spear. Miz gets up, pulls Maurice in front of him, and is able to kick and hit the Skull Crushing finale onto Edge. Well, in her active wrestling career, Maurice probably would have been fine with this. Maurice was having none of this. Maurice was not happy. Miz goes to raise her arm and she pulls it away and is like, what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? No. You tried to sacrifice me for your own petty gain? They're a team, he says. And she slaps the taste out of his mouth. She is not happy. She's a mother. She has 2 kids. She doesn't have to go through any of this shit. And she just walks out on the Miz. See you bye. And there was word out that she was supposed to be on screen full time. So either this is a big work to get Beth Phoenix back in to wrestle a match with these two at the Royal Rumble, most likely. Please tell me they don't drag this out to WrestleMania. If you're going to have Edge back to do anything, him versus Miz at day one is whatever. It's a C+ show. Who gives a shit? If you drag this all the way out to WrestleMania and this is Edge's feud going into WrestleMania, my God, what the fuck has happened to this company? A lot bad. Let's just say that. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens approach Big E and he's like, if you guys want this to be a triple threat match, you better stay as far away as you can. And yells at him, and that is that. Get the SmackDown rebound, who cares? We've seen what happened with Bobby Lashley's match with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. And we go to that match. Bobby Lashley versus Big E. No disqualification match. If Bobby Lashley wins, he is in at WWE Day 1. If he loses, it stays a triple threat match. But did you really think that they... Now, honestly, I could see WWE. If this was a babyface doing this, then the babyface loses. Obviously. The babyface loses. Okay. If Bobby Lashley was the champion, and you had Seth, Big E, and Bobby Lashley in a triple threat match, and Big E had to beat all three to get to that match and make it a fatal 4-way, Big E loses tonight in the matches, and that was that. But that's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. Now, these guys were having themselves a pretty decent match. And then Seth Rollins and Big E, not Big E, but Kevin Owens had to stick their noses in the match. They both come in, they start beating the shit out of Bobby Lashley because obviously if they can help Big E win, then it's a triple threat match and they don't have to worry about Bobby Lashley. Big E's not having any of this shit and says, "Fuck you motherfuckers." Starts fighting them. Bobby Lashley and Big E start fighting Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens and Big E end up on the outside. Kevin Owens is about to go for a powerbomb through a table. Big E stops down and just uranagis him through the table. So Bobby Lashley on the inside takes Seth Rollins and spears him through a table leaning on the turnbuckle. Obviously, Bobby Lashley took the more damage because he actually had to go through the table, unlike Big E, who just threw Kevin Owens through the table. So Big E gets back in the ring and he's standing there, he's waiting for him. He's like, "Come on, you and me, let's finish this right now. You and me, we're gonna finish this." Remember, this is a no disqualification match, so MVP gets in the ring, takes his cane, and hits Big E in the back of the leg, same leg that Roman Reigns worked over on at Survivor Series. Big E drops like a log, gets up, eats a spear. 1, 2, 3. Bobby Lashley is now in the match at day 1. So predictable, everyone knew, and it's like, you could have just had Bobby Lashley versus Kevin Owens. Like, you could have did something else. It could have just been like, you know what, Big E, what do you want to do? And Big E be like, you know what, I beat him, I could do it again, let's do this. There was no reason to have Big E coming out here and losing a non-title match for no fucking reason. You could have found a better way. So Big E has lost to Kevin Owens and Bobby Lashley in non-title matches. One by disqualification, thanks to Seth Rollins, and the other one in a no DQ match, thanks to MVP. Pretty much just making everything that happened with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens useless, because all they needed was MVP to come out, come from behind, hit him in the leg that's still, I guess, a little damaged, and Bobby Lashley joins the match. And it's like, why? Just why? Why are we doing this? Why are we fucking doing this? This is fucking stupid. But WWE just, the creative sucks. This entire night was about, could Bobby Lashley make it to day 1? Of course he was. If anybody first saw that promo tonight at the beginning of the show and that entire promo segment and didn't think, oh yeah, Bobby Lashley's not, there's no way Bobby Lashley's winning all 3 matches, you don't fucking know what WWE does. Of course he was going to win. Of course he was going to beat Kevin Owens. Of course he was going to beat Seth Rollins. Of course he was going to beat Big E. But out of all three of them made it look stupid. Kevin Owens looks like a punk. Seth Rollins looks like an idiot. Big E looks like a dumbass for not having eyes in the back of his head looking out for MVP. Nobody who was in the match going into the night looked good coming out of tonight's show. This was bad booking all the way. Really doesn't make me want to see this Fatal 4-Way. Because it's just in a way to get 3 big names on the card. And honestly, outside of... Well, there's actually nothing on this card that I really give a shit about right now. I mean, RK Bros versus the Street Profits or the Mysterios. Man, why? Unless you're going to have the Mysterios win against the Street Profits in 2 weeks and have that be where they lose and Dominic turns on his father, building up to WrestleMania, which I don't think we're going to do that just yet. I mean, of course, the match is going to probably happen at WrestleMania, which if you do it right and have the turn at the right time, you could spread it out over a few weeks leading up to WrestleMania, where Dominic betrays his father. Once a match with his father continues to refuse because he will not fight his son, and his son just goes out there and causes hell. Maybe we get some at-home shit where he, I don't know, they could do something. And in the end, of course, Rey Mysterio accepts the challenge under Dominic's one condition, that if Rey Mysterio was to lose to his son, then Rey has to retire. They could think of so basically it would have to probably, there's no pay-per-view between WrestleMania. Oh wait, there is the Saudi show that's going to happen in February. That's the only pay-per-view I think we're getting between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. The only pay-per-view they're going to have. So the turn would probably have to either happen at day 1 or the Royal Rumble. And could WWE stretch a feud without a match from day 1 of Royal Rumble to WrestleMania? I mean, they could do it if you have good fucking booking, but can they? Probably not. But it's like, okay, so here's it is. The starting point is going to be like Royal Rumble or day 1, whichever one you want. The end goal is WrestleMania. Between one of those 2 pay-per-views and WrestleMania, you have Dominic turn, you have Rey Mysterio, like Dominic for weeks wanting a match with his father. His father continues to refuse. They can figure out what they have to do to have Dominic push his father's buttons to the point where Rey Mysterio finally accepts a match at WrestleMania with his son, and his son says, "We'll have that match but if I beat you, you have to retire." And that's how Rey Mysterio ends his WWE career for good, by passing the torch to his son. Rey Mysterio loses to Dominic at WrestleMania, takes the mask off because there are many pictures of Rey Mysterio without the mask, and which is kind of stupid. It's kind of redundant, the fact that he even puts a mask back on, because he's been demasked multiple times. He's even had pictures without his mask on, so it doesn't even make any sense why he wears a mask. But anyway, he takes the mask off, hands it to his son, and he retires. They can figure out how to make that all work between day 1 of Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Will they? Probably not, because they can't fucking decide if they're going to break those guys up or not. It's just so ridiculous. But we'll have to see what happens with that and everything else. WWE has a lot. They only have a few weeks left, and how is next week looking? Next week is the Christmas week. There will be a review on Monday. There will be a review on Wednesday. There will not be a review on Friday because that is Christmas Eve. Rampage is going to be on Christmas night, so I will probably talk about Rampage for a bit. And then we'll be, will we do anything on the 27th? Probably is the go-home show to day 1, yeah. So Monday the 20th, there will be a review. Wednesday the 22nd, there will be a review because that's AEW, and AEW gets all the love in the world. SmackDown is on Friday. It's going to be a tape show. I could care less about what they do on SmackDown because nothing's going to happen. Because holiday shows, they get taped or when they go on autopilot and nothing happens. Honestly, it's going to be a year in review. I think is that one? Or is it the 31st? No. The 24th, which I believe, I think I saw that one, is going to be a year in review on SmackDown. So there's going to be absolutely nothing to fucking watch on the 24th for SmackDown. So there's going to be no reason to do a review. And then we'll be back to normal on the 27th, the 29th, and the 31st the week after. And of course, day 1 on the 1st. And then we get into the New Year stuff after that. But tonight's show fucking sucked. Everyone knew Bobby Lashley. As soon as they advertised on Friday that Bobby Lashley is going to make his case for being in the WWE Championship match, everyone knew. It's like, oh yeah, he's going to be put in. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The fact that you didn't have Bobby Lashley already on the fact that you didn't have Bobby Lashley in the ladder match. Was he in the ladder match? I'm pretty sure he wasn't in the ladder match. But like, the fact that you didn't have Bobby Lashley considered for a WWE Championship match going into day 1, yeah, I could see where there's a problem there. But yeah, WWE just, they suck. This is all just bad. Everything is bad in WWE. Raw sucks, and NXT 2.0 sucks, and SmackDown sucks without Roman Reigns. And even with Roman Reigns, if he's not on TV talking or doing something, it sucks. And honestly, if I can be honest, the shit with Roman Reigns is starting to wear thin because they ain't got nothing. They done lost Jeff Hardy for, yeah, we'll get into that on Friday more than likely, but they lost Jeff Hardy, who would have been a viable person to go up against Roman at the Rumble or at the Saudi show in February. All they got is Drew. After Brock Lesnar, all they have is Drew. They got nobody else. And honestly, it's starting to wear thin. It's just like, you need somebody for the Rumble for Roman Reigns, because he's not losing. If Brock Lesnar was to beat Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, it's not going to be at day 1. It's not going to be at the Rumble. That would be at WrestleMania, because that's what Brock Lesnar is going to get. If Brock Lesnar would get another title run, which would be stupid, it would be at WrestleMania. But that was your Monday Night Raw review and a little bit of tangent about a couple other things. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Minds at the France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/the France Club, and find me on Instagram at the France Club. And I will see you guys on Wednesday for Winter is Coming, where we see Bryan Danielson try to capture the AEW World Championship, which will not happen. And who will show up? Will it be Johnny Gargano? Will it be Kyle O'Reilly? Will it be Wyndham Rotunda? Will it be Adam Shear and EC3? Who will be making their AEW debut this Wednesday? Because you know it's going to be somebody. Honestly, if I had to pick, I'd say Red Dragon makes their reformation with Adam Cole, baby, on Wednesday night. And we'll see what happens after that. But that is it. I'll see you guys then. Have a good one.